Hello. Today I'm going to be talking about my implementation of an SEL strategy or an implement to help regulate behavior or students' actions inside of a classroom or in a program. So today I'm going to talk about self-regulation and how it can benefit us. My name is Brandon Matthews, and I hope you enjoy. First of all, what is self-regulation? And basically, self-regulation is the internal mechanism that helps children and adults to engage in behavior that is mindful, deliberate, and considerate. And that's the way that Kaplan explains it. And basically, what we're doing is we want to teach children to think about what they do before they do it, so no quick reactions. To be purposeful in what they are doing, so they want to make those actions rather than they are just reacting, and they want to be considerate, so we want to teach care. That's one of the biggest parts, I believe, especially that in today's world. Self-regulation also teaches children how to manage their emotions, control their reactions in response to frustration, anger, disappointment, basically any negative release of emotion, if that's hitting, kicking, screaming, punching, spitting, cutting, ignoring, imploding, whatever those actions might be. We want to teach those children to rise above, to look outside of maybe that little frustration or that moment of anger, and to succeed. First of all, why do we need self-regulation and mindfulness in the classroom? Basically, self-regulation is teaching us to be mindful of ourselves. So when we see that word mindfulness, it's not a big term. It just basically means to be aware, to look into ourselves. First of all, self-regulation is a positive influence on students' cognitive abilities. We are giving students the tools to use their brain to think outside of the box. We're giving them the tools to look inside themselves, to recognize their emotions, to be able to react to others' emotions, to teach empathy. We're getting that brain to turn inside, more than just with an educational teaching. Um, it teaches control of one's emotions and actions. So it teaches us why, behind the way we feel. So we can understand when someone is being aggressive towards us, possibly being mean, picking on us, or if we're just frustrated because we don't understand a question or an answer. It teaches us how to use our tools that we can learn to manage our actions and emotions. Instead of reacting to a situation, we're able to absorb it, we're able to take it in, and then we can process it and look at what we need to improve on. Basically, self-regulation also improves on students' overall academic ability. And studies have shown that with self-regulation, it's one of the most positive influences or significant influences that we can have on a young student's academic success. With self-regulation, we're teaching them about failure. We're teaching them that it is all part of what we do, and we're also teaching them that the word fail is not what we think. Okay, first attempt in learning is what I like to teach my students. We're reprogramming how we are able to attack those stressful, difficult needs of the day. The biggest reason I feel that we need it right now is this COVID-19 and this distant learning. We've been out of the classroom for a year, or some schools over a year, and the students as well as the parents, but the students especially are feeling that in the social aspect of life. They're missing their friends, they're missing those connections. And yes, we need them back in the classroom for the rules and the regulations, but the biggest thing is we need them to understand that they're safe, they're healthy, we can maintain, we can survive. And I think that right now I see a lot of my students don't feel that way. So we need to help them realize we're back on track. And if they are sad, if stuff happened during COVID, if they had a death in the family, this is the time where we can help them gain the tools to work through those issues and be able to work through those emotions. So what does self-regulation look like in the classroom? Well, the first thing that we have to do in self-regulation is we got to develop background knowledge. So we have to look at the emotions. We have to break down emotions and vocabulary terms and teach our students what they are. So I have this little picture down here, but it actually kind of goes through what we want to teach our students. What is anger? What is scared? What is sad? What is happy? What is frustrated? What is anxious? What is disappointed? We also need to teach them that these are not bad behaviors or these are not bad feelings, but everybody goes through it. What is the downside or the negative is what we do or our reaction or actions with these feelings. Lots of classroom discussion, lots of modeling it is definitely in need, especially for the teachers. And you'll even notice, because I do this in my classroom, you'll notice that the teaching staff even picks up on some of the self-regulation, and you see them working on it. I do it almost daily. I really do, and I tell my students that I'm very honest with my students. Hey, Mr. Matthews how to use this technique yesterday. How to use my breathing skills or my freeze melt. Okay, memorize it. Memorizing for my classroom is we do a self-regulation program. It's a lot like a game, actually. It's very interactive with the students. We do it once or twice a week. And as we go through it, we give real life situations. We talk about things that happen at recess or things that happen in our classroom. We use it kind of as a therapeutic tool as well as a teaching tool when it comes down to the emotions, and teaching my students how to, or our students how to deal with it. I work with behavioral intervention, so my students don't quite learn at home how to manage or how to correctly manage their emotions. So this really helps them. And in supporting it, you have to realize and have to help them realize that we might take a step back while we're taking steps forward, but there's still support there. We're still going to learn from it. We're going to take that information and we're going to work with that and we're going to help each other. Just because we stumble one day doesn't mean everything is off the table. I think with self-regulation, that's one of the big important keys is that we need to teach our students that we may have really great days and we might have a low day where we might get frustrated. We might lose our temper. We might curse or spit or hit or do one of those actions that we're trying to work on, but that's okay. This is where that establishing that independent practice comes in. So now we're taking it outside of the classroom and we're taking it home. We're taking it to the bus. We're taking it to the playground. We're taking it to the sports we're on, whether it's basketball, football, wrestling. We can take this self-regulation from the classroom and actually use it um, in other parts of these students' lives, as well as teachers. Again, I use it all the time with my family. It's kind of funny when I do it with them, but we can take this and we can practice. One of my favorite things, and I'm going to go back to this discuss it part, is one of my favorite things is talking to the children and having them tell me their stories from the day before. Hey, Mr. Matthews, I saw this in the store. I saw this out here, and guess what? I think I would have done this. And hearing them talk about how they would have handled those situations and they're recognizing of what is happening, that's a super win for me. I absolutely love that. So now, is it working? The first thing is we're going to set some goals. We're going to work with our students. We're going to work with our staff. We're going to work with our whole school, and we're going to set behavioral goals. How do we want our students to act when they're in the classroom? How do we want them to act when they're outside of the classroom? Passing periods, lunchtime. We want to set those expectations and those goals up so we know what we're looking for, and the students know what we're looking for as well. It's one complete thought, one complete goal. It's not it's not this roller coaster where this teacher is that and this teacher is this. We set this goal right here. Um, Self-monitoring, I think that could be done in two ways, especially in a program like mine. At the end of the day, we have discussions, we talk, we go over points, we have a goals chart that we talk about, and we go over their daily interactions and actions and all their positives. And then we also talk about some recorrections that are in there. But the self-monitoring, I think, goes back to us teaching them how to be self-sufficient, how to look to their goals and how to teach them or give them the tools to achieve those goals because they don't always get that at home. The self-talk is big for me. Negative self-talk, I try not to let my students get away with. At times, I know there's frustration and they're releasing, but I tell my students for every one negative, I want five positives about themselves. And it may start out as just real generic as I'm good, I'm fast, I'm great at math, I can, and then it develops into I can do this because I am good at this because. So I develop that. I want them to continue to pump themselves up, to give them credit for what they're doing. And then it goes back to that self-reinforcement. If our students can't believe in themselves, if we can't get them to work hard for themselves, they're not going to work hard really for anybody. And that is true, I think, across the board. That goes with adults as well. If we don't want to achieve goals, we're not going to do it. By using the self-regulation in the classroom, it's going to allow students to get that social emotional learning. It's also going to give them the tools to work with situations that are frustrating. They may have anger, they may get upset, or they may just have no understanding of the situation. With self-regulation, you can spawn into different parts of the social emotional learning. We can talk about positive relationship building. We can talk about self-awareness. We can talk about social awareness. All of that can stem from starting in the realm of self-regulation. So I hope you enjoyed my presentation. I hope that self-regulation works for you in your classrooms. And thank you guys very much.